On the 25th of April 2006, an earthquake with a magnitude of 2.3 struck the town of Beaconsfield in Tasmania, trapping miners Brant Webb and Todd underground for 14 days. In these current times of isolation and uncertainty, Brant has agreed to share his story with us about how he survived those 14 days underground, and following being rescued, the highs and the lows of life afterwards, and furthermore, how he's been able to move past some well-publicised battles with post-traumatic stress. This is Brant's story of those 14 days, 14 years on. We hope it helps. Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. 14 years ago, Brant Webb went to work at his normal night shift at the Beaconsfield mine. As we know, things changed rather rapidly that night for he, his family and his colleagues. 14 years on, Brant's been good enough to join us to run through what those times were like, how he made it through and how he's doing now. He joins us from Beauty Point in Tasmania. Brant, thanks very much for taking the time.
No worries, Peter. How are you?
You're going well, mate. Yeah, thanks again. So, most people know your story, obviously, what happened. Could you tell us how you first started working in the Beaconsfield mine?
Yeah. I started in 2000, year 2000, and a mate of mine said, have you ever been and seen a mine? And I said, no. And he said, well, I can take you for a look. So he took me for a look, and I said, how much is that bloke on? And he told me, and I said, what, he just does that? And he said, yeah, that's what he does. He just drives a loader. And this guy, he does the fire. He's a powder monkey. He does all the explosives, and he's on this much a day. And the guy driving the jumbos on this much a day, and the guy holding an air leg, a handheld machine, doing the handheld machine mining, you know. They were on really good money. And the bloke was cutting a rise out with one, and he was up a heap of ladders. And I said, how much is that on? And he told me, and I went, that is phenomenal. I want that job. You know, I just couldn't believe how much money was in the mining at that point. Never knew it. So, so that's how I started. I started at the bottom, and slowly over the years, you know, they want a multi-skilled miner, you know. And these days, back in the old days, I think they were very multi-skilled. But, so once you got all your tickets and you got everything, so, you know, obviously 7 years later, the Beaconsfield mine collapse happened.
Now, all that sounds a great job to have and very well paying. How far underground were you operating in the mines at those times?
When I started, we were only down around the 510 level, 530 level, and then it rapidly advanced. Once they cut a decline and got the jumbos, but it was all machine mining, and they put the jumbos down, which are mechanical miners, and off it went. And so it ended up a big deal, but it was one of the wettest mines in the Southern Hemisphere, and ended up one of the deepest mines below sea level in the Southern Hemisphere. So it got a few records in its day.
And how deep were you working when you were down the furthest?
Yeah, so when I started, we were pumping about 760 litres a second of water to pump out the mine. If pumps stopped and dams couldn't hold the water, it just used to flood. So they didn't like it because all the machines go under water. It cost them a fortune. So water was a big issue, you know. And so in
and how deep under the surface, below sea level? How many metres below the surface were you?
We ended up nearly 1,900 metres below sea level.
Wow.
So nearly 2 kilometres.
Nearly 2 kilometres underground, yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, fair way out on the ladders.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And now, obviously, 14 years on, Anzac Day 2006, you're on night shift. Could you tell us about that day when you went to work and how this started?
Yeah, obviously we just went to work as a normal day, and we didn't really know that the mine had done a bit of a deal with the council not to fire any explosives. As miners know, anyone that's worked underground knows that you've got to keep firing to release the pressure of the rock. The rock keeps trying to cave in that little hole, and by exploding more rock out, just gives it somewhere to release that pressure. So it had released no pressure. Larry and I had taken a pay cut, and we weren't supposed to go to the face anymore. You know, we'd taken a pay cut because been buried a couple of times before that, and didn't like it then. Didn't really like it the third time either. But it was one of those deals where, you know, you just get in, do the job, get out. You know, and that's what it was supposed to be that night. And unfortunately, you know, Cheesy told me it would be a 2-hour job, and ended up 2 weeks. So yeah, it blew out a bit.
Very unexpected, yeah. You mentioned the mine's a dangerous place to work. If I can show you a photo, could you talk about this photo we're currently looking at in front of the yellow loader?
Yeah, that's an ST2 loader, or they call them a bogger. Yes, mate. That became a museum piece after I got buried in it. That was the first time I got buried. And when they dug it out and everything else, that was the end of that one. She was bugging. So, but they got me out, you know. So, a testament to my crew at the time. You know, they didn't stop to let them all come in. They just got in and got me out. So, excellent job, boys.
So you'd already had an accident prior down in where you were covered in that loader.
No, we call it Mrs. Peter. Near misses.
Near misses, yes.
Near misses.
Yeah. But it was obviously a very dangerous place to work prior, even before.
I think
2006.
Yeah, I think all mines are pretty dangerous, mate. That's why they pay so much money, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the night of Anzac Day when you went in, how did you end up working in that particular spot?
Yeah, we had Cheesy asked us, he said, he gave us the job at the, because we all have a meeting before we start work to see where we're going and what we're doing, who we're working with. We're working alone. Most mining jobs you work alone. So this one we had 3 of us on board. So Todd went down, he got a loader. He went down with a loader, and we went down. Larry asked me, you know, which one do you want to drive, and I said, I don't mind, mate. You know which one it is. But so he ended up with the short end of the straw on that night, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and what sort of area were you working in? If you could tell us, for instance, how much work did you have to how much room did you have to work in that night? What sort of spaces were involved? What's it actually like to be in that mine working? What are the conditions like?
Oh, mate, you don't go down for the views, eh? It's pretty grey, pretty dark. You only see what your light's shining on. Yeah, so yeah. It's one of those deals, you know, like it's very hard in mining. You try not to, you go to the pub to find your friends and make friends, and you go to mining to work. That's it. You just go there, turn up, get the money, and roll out.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, get on the lease, get off the lease as fast as you can. That's the whole deal, you know. We're supposed to come home, how we went in. That's the deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, it doesn't work that way all the time. But no, it was just a normal routine job, mate. It was nothing unusual.
Yes.
The only thing that was probably unusual was that the ground wasn't making much noise. Like it was making none. And to a miner, really, it's just that Larry and I had been out of that job for over 12 months, and you know, we hadn't sort of gone into a stope, and you sort of forget. You think, oh, it's because we work mainly decline and things like that. Putting infrastructure in is what we were doing.
Yes. Larry
and I. So as we're going down, we're putting the infrastructure in. So it was a little bit different than when you're mining, because you're there all the time, every shift. It was a 2-in-1 shift, so you know you work 2/3 of the year, and so you're there a fair bit. The ground itself wasn't too bad. It was, you know, wasn't for talking. That was the deal. So we should have cottoned on then, but you know, just building pressure.
Yeah, pressure was building, and at 9:26 p.m. on that night, that's when everyone's lives changed forevermore. And so in our next episode, we've got a few coming up with Brant. We'll cover through what happened afterwards, and also how he managed to survive through the mine. So thanks very much for your time. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, Brant.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah.